Undermountain by Eric Kent Edström. Chapter 1, Camp 6. Despite the physical strain of climbing up rocky trails all day, Danny Michelson had never been happier. After months of pleading, his mom had finally allowed him to join this excursion into the Canadian wilderness. Of course, the next thing he knew, Mom had signed EM up for it too. "Your sister can make sure you don't get into any trouble, honey." Whatever. He could tolerate his sister. A bigger irritation was the fact that Mom's boyfriend, Vincent, had ponied up the cash for the trip. But since Danny would turn 16 in a few days, he considered the trip his birthday present. He pushed the thought of Vincent out of his mind and took a deep breath of mountain air. Being here, 6 days into a 10-day hike in the back country of the Canadian Rockies, that was the important thing. Harvin, their grizzled old guide, said the nearest town lay over 50 miles away. The small troop of 6 teenagers and 1 old man came to the top of a rise. They were rewarded with tremendous views in all directions. Harvin put his hands on his hips and gazed around like a conquering general. "Welcome to Camp 6, ladies. You've accomplished in 6 days what I usually do in 2. Danny dropped his pack and flopped to the ground, wincing as he wriggled blistered toes in his boots. Harvin clicked his tongue. "No lunging, boy. Get your chores taken care of. Then you can laze around all you want." Danny got to work gathering firewood and helping Voss set up their tent. Voss' real name was Joachim Martin, but at the first roll call, Harvin had pronounced it Joachim. No, Joachim had said, making a disgusted face. "It's Va-Kim. It starts with a Va sound. Va. Naturally, Harvin had started calling him Va. To his credit, Va embraced his new nickname. It wasn't as if he could make the old man call him anything else. He was too short to intimidate anyone. Va and Danny had become good friends, though they were opposites in most ways. Where Danny was tall with a mop of brown hair, Va's raven head barely reached Danny's chin. Their chores complete, Danny and Va climbed a huge granite slab above the camp and gazed out over the valley. The sun cast golden light over the conifers below, and mountain peaks stood shoulder to shoulder across the valley, jagged and silent. Danny took a seat on the cold stone and sighed. A faint breeze smelling of pine and earth wafted through his hair. It doesn't get any better than this. Iam's voice snapped the stillness like a firecracker. "Crap!" Her language had been deteriorating a little every day, and she continued with several more colorful curses. Danny looked back to find her climbing toward him. She held her phone over her head, waving it from side to side. She sniffed in dissatisfaction and plopped down next to him. "Still no signal. I thought I'd pick up at least 1 bar once we got up this high." Danny rolled his eyes. "We're supposed to be roughing it, remember?" He turned to Va. "I told you she wasn't cut out for this kind of thing. The only time she's ever camped out was to be the first in line for a new iPhone." Va shrugged. "I did the same thing with my brother last year." M flashed a smile at Va and raised a smug eyebrow at Danny. She continued waving her phone. "Come on, just 1 bar." Danny pointed at the expansive vista before them. "Why don't you look at the scenery for once?" M rolled her eyes, then made a show of deliberately looking at the mountains, rotating her head back and forth like one of Vincent's security cameras. Her breath caught and she blinked. "This really is beautiful." Her phone came up again, but this time to take a picture. "I wish I could send this to Mom," she said sadly and tucked the phone into a pocket. "I wish I could call and see how she's doing. You know how strange she was acting before we left?" Danny shrugged. "I think she's been acting strange since she started dating Vincent. You should give them a chance. They needed some time alone together." Leave it to M to throw cold water on the fun. "Danny!" Breonna waved at him from below. Even from far away, her smile made him a little lightheaded. "The old man says we have to go with him to get water. Then his sour mood vanished. He stood and waved back, smiling like an idiot. All the beautiful scenery in the world couldn't compete with Breonna Lewis. The sun shone golden on her black skin and gilded the ends of her loosely spiraled hair. Danny often found himself frozen and tongue tied around her. Breonna motioned him down with both hands. "Are you coming or not?" He snapped out of his reverie and started down to the camp. "Later, Danny," Waugh said. He slid closer to M. "And good luck." Breonna greeted Danny with a friendly smile and an armful of empty bottles. Together, they headed down the trail to catch up to Harlan.